things and we'll be ready to roll. Alright. So initially I had sent out a paint list that included some scale 75 paints that I really wanted to test out. They did not arrive yesterday, so we're going to use an alternate green and off-white, which is not a problem. Here I got a P3 Iozine green, just a pretty well saturated neutral green color. We can get a lot of work done with this. I could look up a Vallejo equivalent if somebody was after it, but like a flat green, pretty neutral green out of Vallejo would give you a similar looking result, but at the same time, it truly doesn't matter as long as it's a fairly neutral. And then we're going to be shading it with, oh, here it is. I was originally going to use a charcoal color, but here's a coal black from P3. Again, going to give us a fairly similar result. Mix a little bit more black in with this when we get everything going, and it should be pretty good. And for our off-white, we're going to be using our Men Off-White base. Another classic choice for me. Here it is. And then to go along with all of this, we will be using white and black. Just start. Putting our colors out here and getting everything together. And realizing though that when I cleaned my desk this weekend, I did not get I'm not getting any new paper towels, so we're gonna take a brief break before we go to get everything rolling and fix something like that out of the kitchen. The thing I like about the coal black is it has so much kind of this dark greeny blue color in it. I think that'll take us quite a ways with the with shading. Add a little bit of color to things. Next in our little color hue we're going to mix up. I'm going to put down our Iozine green, and I want to make sure I get enough of this so that I can maintain the integrity of the color. Because as we start to make these blends, we're going to lose some of our color tonality, so to speak. So I'm going to have a nice dark mix here. And as we go through this, we're going to have less and less of that coal black. Add it into our shade color. Eventually we'll be a nice Iozine in the middle. Treat that as like our mid-tone, so to speak. Sands replacement here, this nice Men Off-White base. Pixie, good morning. Fancy shirt. This is a thrift shop buy from me. I remember riding through the store, like counting down the minutes to leave. Nothing in there for me. It's like a boutique. And then they're like, hey, if you're interested, there's some men's clothes over here. I was like, I'm gonna kill some time to go over there. I'm like, who let go of this gem? This thing is hideous. So we have this nice transition set up from mostly black all the way over to mostly cream. And with that, we ought to be able to get some nice work done here on Pyram. We're going to paint him the green tones. We're going to work on some wet blending. I felt like that really made a lot of sense with what we tend to do in here. I've got to go grab some paper towel. I won't be able to get my brushes clean enough. For now, what should we put them on? We pick a nice, Cygnus yellow. You are fortunate enough to be in the open. I gotta ordered a little box that could hold paints. I was cleaning up my desk and tossed all my old paper towel out. Needed to happen, but just How was your weekend, Pixie? Well. Though I don't have this in our initial mix. Aaron J. Bang, look out. Coming in with a rating party of 16. Good morning, Aaron and company. Hopefully you're all doing well. Colors over there. We may test our paints over here on this, as well as dry our brushes. Tactical Booty says, whoa, welcome Raiders. He says it was all right. It was 25 plus degrees Celsius, or 25 plus degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. He has a cold weekend right there. Welcome in, everybody. We're just getting rolling. Hey, look at this little palette cam we have here. Look at this. We've just laid down a nice little hue. If you're ever looking for something behind the curtains when I'm doing my wet blending, that's the critical part. Excel 809 says, dread it, run from it, change still arrives with Zench. Now listen, it sounds like heresy to me. I don't know. Just for me. Pixie says, I am going to golf again after 2 months. Oh, I didn't know you were into golf, Pixie. That's pretty sweet. I've always wanted to learn more about how to actually play a game. I've gone to driving ranges, smack a ball in a direction. I'm not good. It takes a lot of practice. Aaron J. Banks says, yo, Chris, homie, what's with the name this time, yo? Well, see, what happens is sometimes you make a mistake and then you're stuck with some stupid name. And so you think, well, you were looking at names anyway. Like, that's why it happened. You made a mistake because you were looking at new names. So you finish your search, you settle on a name, and then you realize you're stuck with what your mistake was for like a month. 30 days. You can make no changes. Stick with it. Sit with it. Live with your mistakes. You've made your bed. Enjoy your month-long nap. And then as time goes on, you realize, the month ended. Let's change it. Let's be done. The whole point was to get this name on, find a name that I could have on Instagram, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Facebook, down the line. That's what I was looking for when this happened. That's where we landed here. Suicide. Aaron J. Banks says, well, I can relate. I mean, Aaron J. Banks, super unoriginal. Aaron J. Banks. I don't know. It's pretty good. Suicide Prinny. Is that the D4 character from that set of dice people? It is that dice from that dice set. As a community thing, I was asked, would I ever be interested in doing a paint-along? And so this is our first paint-along piece. We're going to start with the easiest facet to work with, and we're going to work our way up. And I just wrote out last night, each one of them is going to be, because there's 6 of them, we're going to represent all of the primary and secondary colors in the exercise. Those are hashtags. It's not going to help us any. Yeah, so our rogue here is going to be the color green. And then we're going to work our way up in terms of facet complexity. So we're going to go up to the D6, and we're going to paint our bard in purple colors. Our ranger is going to be orange, the cleric in yellow, the wizard in blue, and the fighter in red. I figured we would pick the colors that classically would be represented. And it's not like it has to be a big old primary exercise, so I figured we would do like some variations, just have them be in those hues. Excel says you're going to paint a Bill Cipher face smile. We can give it a shot. I don't know if we're going to do it justice, though. We are going to try and do some nice blends. So we've worked our way from black through, well, black's really not represented too much. Black mixed with some coal black. Then we started adding Iosian green, which is just a neutral kind of green tone. And then we started adding an off-white, like a yellowy, creamy off-white all the way up. Didn't see a D4. I saw Bill Cipher. That's Bill himself. A little bit of a legend, huh? It's kind of sweet that they showed him that kind of love. So yeah, that's what we're getting rolling on here right now. And I just got done mixing up that nice set of, blend on my wet palette. And for now, I think that's where we're going to start. We'll grab some of this nice coal black mixture. Bolster this up because that's way too much black, huh? That's the way she goes. Just add a little bit more of this to it, and then we'll get a little of this Iosian in there. Because you still want that to be part of it. Alright. Now we're better. And we got enough paint to be on the brush, which is the thing. So we'll start down here on the bottom of the model. Because I'm using a big craft brush of size 6. And what I think we'll do, oops, I am so sorry about that. That's not going to float. Make sure that doesn't happen again. With all of these, I want to do some work on some blends. So let's start in this lower rear corner. And we're going to try to work our way through this in a way that... I said one too many eyes, though. I don't know. Come on now. It's kind of winking. Kind of giving you a little bit of people's eyebrow. Maybe we'll start up underneath this coin purse here with our darker tone. So we'd be in shadow under there. We'll grab a little bit of our next color. Load it up now. Brush. Make sure we go into moisture. Grab our next tone. While we're still wet. That wasn't barely even enough paint to get things flowing, but we're just going to push that shadow color down into the recess some. Get a little more Iosian in there. slowly work our way closer to the top. We're just kind of adding in more of our creamier mixture here, our nice off-white kind of highlight. Aaron J. Banks says, need to take care of some domestic stuff for a minute. Be right back. We'll see you in a minute. So yeah, that is a one-size kind of facet. So we'll do the same over here. We'll try to mix up some bulk of this next tone. You know what they need to meet. Again, let's, after washing the brush, let's make sure that we don't have it loaded up with water. Grab our darker tone. I'm just following our sort of zenithal highlight. Balzacia says, wet blend magic. Yeah, it is kind of, the thing is, on a smooth surface like this, you want to be using a bigger brush. You need enough paint to blend. But you see here, I don't have enough paint in my brush, and we're not making too much progress. So now when we come over, we're going to load it up pretty good. Now, that might still not be enough. This is a big brush. Now we can lay this down where we want it. I'm going to make sure we saturate underneath this arm pretty good. Then grab our next color. Previous color still present in the brush. Let me turn this upside down because I'm a righty. And then we're going to start up above and kind of push this color down into our shadows. Just agitate the brush a little bit where they meet and bring it up about midway. Now I'm going to clean that mixture off. Not a ton. I'm not looking to like make sure it's totally clean. You can see we're depositing some colors on the paper towel. See? Not getting enough paint off of this. I didn't mix up enough when I did my little hue shift. It's a little stark. So I'm just going to come back through the previous color. Tactical Booty saying hello. Good morning. Demisi, good morning. How are you? Adding a little bit more of that mid-tone, that actual Iosian color. I know it's a little bit stark, but it's okay at this point. We'll get more highlights in here. We'll smooth those transitions out. Also further saturate our colors as well. Okay, I'm going to step down in size of brush just because we got some details here. We got here. Dempsey says, good thanks, working on some Dead Man's Hand Lawmakers Skirmish Wild West. That sounds like a blast. We're going to punch in here just so we can better see Bill's face. Alright. So now I've stepped up in terms of brush. I'm using a nicer, this is a Winsor Newton size 3. The only reason is because now we're not working with one big face, even this is a face. Now we're on one big face of a die where I'm going to rip a smooth blend. Now we've got to work our way around some details. And over here, I'm just going to switch up a little bit our color. So our shadows aren't going to be nearly as bright, because on this side, we want them to be quite a bit more vibrant. And the thing with our shadow colors, it's got some black in it, and that just by the nature of what the black paint is, it's going to rip the vibrancy out of it. Desaturates. So yeah, this will be our shadow color for the face. It's going to be closer to our mid-tone on the back of the model. And the other little trick that plays on a viewer is it pulls their eye to the more interesting pieces. We don't find looking at desaturated things as interesting by comparison to something vibrant beside it. I should say that. I think it's demise. Demise. Oh, well then. Because I don't know how to pronounce things. That's on me. No one gets it right. It's fine. Is that correct? Is it demise? The thing is, we're pulling the paint towards our previous color, and where they meet, we just agitate the brush. We get this nice, interesting transition. Demise, yes sir. Well, demise. Meg, forever get it correct. So these Wild West models, what are they from? Dead Man's Hand. It's a lawman. So the lawman is Ren No Rib says hold. Dab. Good morning, Ren. Just adding in a little bit more of this vibrant tone. I'm going to go back in terms of scale as we work our way down into this corner. Ren says, I don't know how long I will be here. I put out a looking for group in Apex Legends. So now you're just waiting. Well, thank you for waiting here with us. You know what it is. We're in here painting. And the thing here that happened, as we see, I kind of agitated the brush and kept pulling down, and we ended up losing a little bit of the shadow, but that's okay. Just come back in and work it together. Just get rid of some of the excess where they've met here on this harsh line. Once you get rid of a little bit of excess paint, you can just agitate your brush and they'll blend together. The thing we've run into, though, is where is it? There's the right color. Is there was just too much paint there. And so we just come back with that other color. In this case, it tore, so we'll stipple. And then stippling will do it. So just a change up. That's a little trick I learned. Whenever the paint agitates and won't blend for you, you can just kind of stipple to get it to deposit immediately where you're doing instead of like trying to make a brush stroke where you're going to have the most of your paint end at the end of the brush stroke. Like if they're not going to blend with this gesture, you just stipple your way. So like if you have a harsh line, like let's take where I smashed myself with a hammer here. Let's just say that that's the stark line that we can't get rid of, and it won't blend when you do your brush stroke. You just stipple on either side. And it will like make little dots, and if you make enough little dots, they'll be smooth. Alright, and now we're going to come up into here. I'm going to work some of that nice bass tone down. And when we poke out towards his feature here, his little lip, just going to grab some of our brighter tone and work it back towards the base. And in that way, you get some nice, I don't know, contrast to some extent. Take this same color and kind of work it down around the eyebrows. I think we did a good job everywhere, but right here we're not so smooth. So I'm going to push our highlight color down a little bit into our previous color, and we're going to grab that. Oops, sorry, I smacked the palette cam there. Got too excited to get some paint. Alsatius says, which game is this for? This is for Reaper Miniatures. It's just a fantasy company. They don't have a specific game, but oftentimes their models are used for other role-playing games. In particular, they have lineups for D&D and Pathfinder that are wonderful. This particular set is kind of a goof on D&D characters. Pyram here, the D4, is a rogue. You see his little satchel and his dagger. Here we're just bringing back in our other green color. We're kind of working back and forth until we find a tone that matches what we have going on here. And all in the pursuit of feathering this out. Then we gotta let that dry. And I think I'm gonna take this mid-tone and actually put some of it up in here, right along his eyebrows, where things would be kind of shaded in. Maybe even a little bit underneath his eyes. Yeah, that'll look good. Oh my. Demise says, I picked them up from a convention but never played the game. Got a lot of spare time, so trying to smash the backlog. Yeah, and they're, from the sounds like, they look awesome. If you have any photos, we'd love to take a look. Tactical says to Ren, where did your ribs go? I hope no one ate them. Well, Tactical, I'm sure Ren is about to explain, but they have fewer ribs than the rest of us. When you were born with something you don't have a problem with. That's right, you don't know any different. Alsatius says, which game? Damn it, this looks like a tune for a cool kids game, if there was one. Yeah, they did one for each of the... If you've ever played D&D, there's 6 dice in this... Well, there's actually 7, but there's 6 different types of dice in the set. You have the D4, the D6, the 8. When you play a game, you have 2 D10s, but you have the D10, then the D12, and the D20. And so yeah, we're going to play around with this. Ren says, okay, suddenly my looking for group turns into playing with Snickersnack, Yeegy, and Clint. So yeah, let's take a look at our initial blends. So this is just their base coat, and I love doing base coats in this way because for me it's a lot more dynamic to look at than just a one color and then layering up over top of that. Just grabbing some of the shadow tone and cleaning up that edge. Why paint's not sticking there. It's angry. That's better. Okay, so now we can start putting these other features. I know there's not a ton to this model. So let's grab some of our creamy off-white here. Just put it down here. And I know I didn't put down anything special for the other colors, but I think we're going to have to add a brown to our mixture. Let's check this out for his gloves. Doc Holiday Roland says that shirt, it goes, this shirt invokes rage, the mere sight of it. It's just some white with our off-white. It's mostly still very yellow. We're going to do the same thing that we did with the green, but now with this cream color. So since we added that white to it to lighten it up here down the shadow side, we're just going to take some pure Menoth white base. And we can very easily tell here that I didn't get enough white in my highlight because that transition is very, very subtle, if not present at all. So a little more of this white. Let's try again. How are you today, Doc? How was your weekend? Other than watching Walt Harris lose. Make sure we're in focus here. Take our excess and make sure we don't have too much paint on the brush. Just painting our highlights in. I've added even more white to this because it wasn't working out. I might recommend taking the white and actually adding the off-white to it when you go to do this, because yeah, it's just such a strong tone. Color. Doc says, "Was your boy watching him lose? I'm debating on going back to sleep." Demise says, "Painting Wild West, and someone called Doc Holiday appears like magic." That's right, Doc. Demise here is working on some Wild West Lawmaker kit. I don't know. Did you say what game it was? Just picked him up back in the day, and that was all. Yeah, Dead Man's Hand, I believe you said. I am not familiar, but you know, Wild West stuff sounds like a blast. Doc with the hat tip. Oh, he's liking it. Here we're just kind of sketching in the different shapes, allowing the paint to match. Because they're not very large, we don't need a ton of blending. As long as the paint's wet, they're gonna mate up, so to speak. So here along this back, where our zenithal highlight was, the black is kind of peeking through, so we're just giving it a little bit of a second coat. We'll let that dry. Now that I've kind of found the tones that I want, over here I'm going to work around much faster. Again, we're taking our pure off-white, that men off-white base, or whatever you end up using. Jack's coming in. Good morning, Jax. Whatever you end up using here, and then packing that down in your shadows. Just following that initial prime. Use it as like your coloring lines. Grab that nice white mixture. Add a little bit more white to it because, again, that off-white's so strong, and I had a brush load of it. And then we'll just work from the top. Yeah. There we go. Kind of work our way down until they match. Follow the shape of whatever piece you happen to be painting. You'll get the result you're after. An itchy nose for some reason. Tactical Booties, shout out to the Jax. Jax, how were your streams this weekend? You had about 100 of them. Demise says the game is called Dead Man's Hand, Small Skirmish. It has a regular version, the Lawmen, Outlaws, Cowboys, etc., and then a few expansions like Australian, Kelly Gang, Legends, Pinkerton's, 7th Cav, Weird West, Magnificent 7 Vampires. Okay. That's on me for not understanding. Alright. Take a second here. Take our black. Yeah, it's way too much. Just clean most of this off my brush. Get a little bit of white. I'm gonna make it a little gray tone here. I think that'll be. Yeah, this will work. Add the black in gradually anytime you're doing something like this because it is such a strong tone. It'll kind of bully its way through. Alright, and then focus. Let's find the backs of these eyebrows. This is a good color. Can add a little bit of water to this. I don't usually dilute my paints very much, but I think maybe the black is a little dried out. That pot doesn't seal so well. That's the thing with paint dilution. You get an idea of how thirsty a different brand might be, and you can tell whenever you're working with it, like if something's a little dried out or maybe you didn't get a good enough shake on it, you'll know when you need to add a little water or something. Jack says 100 LOL. Streams were good, thank you. Everything got going smooth, no hiccups at all. That's wonderful. That's what you want to hear. Someone's getting that work in. Jack has been out here grinding. Anybody in here is after just a beautiful, not safe for work stream around hobby stuff, give Jex a check. You'll find no funnier. Foxmeyer Art, thank you so much for that, host. Good morning, and how are you? Yeah, if only. Get this paint all the way back. You see where we've got our prime peeking through here. Peekaboo is not what we want to do. I get that all covered up. The reason why I don't tend to dilute my paints, you lose control. The more moisture you add to it, the less control you're going to have over where it goes and, more importantly, like how it dries. So you kind of gotta fight with it. I think we're getting there. Foxmeyer says, morning. Well, good morning. Hopefully you had an alright weekend. I hope everybody had a good weekend. But yeah, this black is just a little bit too tacky, so in comes another brush tip full of water. Yeah, I think I'll be thirstier than I thought. Go with another one on top of that. That's why it's so important to make sure you don't have any, like a brush full of water after you rinse your brush out. Okay. Jake says, thank you for the shout out. Unfortunately, I missed Saturday's fights because I went to bed early, but a friend said they were just okay, so I didn't miss much. Just watched the highlights. I thought they were pretty good. Nothing like me screaming, hey, you gotta watch this. Previous weekend there were. Okay, we're gonna have to add a brown into this mix to do the boots in the satchel. I didn't think about that. I'm gonna add a little bit more white to this mix. That completely blew it up, huh? Alright, before we add to that, let's deal with this dagger. Jack says, shattered window. Wait, robbery, what happened? Foxman says, well, so-and-so, I'd say. Back window of the car shattered yesterday, so having to deal with that. Was it a robbery? Foxmeyer says, no. The arm holding the door open broke off somehow and swung around and smashed the window from inside when closing it. And says to Pneumatic, sound balance seems a little bit off, by the way, your music is a tad too loud. Well, thank you for being the person that would say something. The rest of you, why didn't you say anything? Let's have a peek. Jix says, I like my music on the loud side, and you know that. That's fair, Jix. Let's try... Is that better? Thought you had it how you wanted it. We were partying. Thought this was a beat rave. Let that settle for a second. Let the delay get through. I'm gonna drink some coffee. Let me know if we need to bring it down some more. We were having a party. Funny. Let me get these. These are important. These are important. Is it better? Seems good. Is it good? Yeah. It's good. If anybody's interested in what happens when you shake paint, you don't make sure you get the lid down tight, you end up ruining stickers. Or could have been commission paints. Jack says be right back coffee. Start fueling his body. Doc says going to start a new donation incentive. $50, $5 for 5 minutes of painting under a strobe light. Get those colors correct. Doc. Scary idea. we got our base coats in for the green. I'm gonna grab, I think, yeah, we'll get this blood tracker brown. I love how it looks. It has, looks like he has glasses in his hand. Glasses in his hand. What'd I miss? For bias rolling in, hey, Chris, how you doing? I'm doing all right. Just a little paint along action, you know. Limited commission sticker. That's true, Doug. All right. So this is just a red brown. Need to shake it a little bit more. It's a little bit off. This might not be bold enough. Might need something a little bit more. Let's see, what do we have? This Mornfang might be dark enough. I don't know. I like the blood tracker. Let's do that. Mornfang would do the job. If you have Citadel paints, it's just a pretty neutral, to be honest, kind of brown. I think because of the tones that it has, it'll work nicely with the that off-white as a highlight. Just getting rid of the excess here. Let's take some of this coal black. I don't know if this will work out, so I'm just going to put it over here and we're going to see what I get. Is this an okay color to shade with or not? Color it's going to turn into. So let's find out. Yeah, I think that'll work out nicely. So we don't have to add another tone. By shouting out to the chat. Take this coal black heavy brown and just tap it down here into the recesses. Super fancy there. Add a little bit more brown to the mixture. Foxman says, right, I'm going to have to stop procrastinating and get this schoolwork underway. What are you procrastinating over? Something complicated or just not interested in doing it right now? Now, I'm just going to sketch down, pulling the paint away from the top and into those previous colors. Just kind of following the shape of the sculpt. And then the highlight for the lower portion of the bag will just be like the kind of catch-all for the top. Foxmeyer says, just big easy type thing in psychology. That's what I majored in when I went to school. And then I started working on computers because I'm a dummy. Work our way back into our shadows as a way to kind of pack, I'd say, delicately, but here we're stippling into these recesses to allow our highlights to still live. Tiger says, ooh, fun. Foxmeyer says, interesting, sure, but there's like 12 questions we have half to answer with sources and a minimum of half pages per answer. So naturally, instead of starting that, I started the skin on my deepkin thralls. Now that sounds much more interesting. I used to play a game called Go to Class or Acquire Black Chocobo. It wasn't worth it. Darker shade that we had along the bottom, bring it into the top, just in here a little bit, kind of feather out to these little pouchy recesses, and let's see if in some way that darker tone would look nicer down here in these crinkles as well, maybe just in the deepest portion of them, but don't bring them out too far. That's the illusion right there. So you can see how we kind of lost it a little bit. I'm just grabbing some of our darker tone again. Ooh, we need a little bit more. Got quite a bit of brown up in the brush. It overpowered the coal black. That's okay. You can always work back and forth. It's just paint. Use my thumb to kind of tap where they're meeting one another and feather that out. All right, let's do the same thing with the boots. I think the leather's the leather, huh? Anime Freak 420 says, nice paint job. Well, thank you. I'm just getting it together here. Foxmeyer says, well, more coffee and school it is. Have a nice stream the rest of the day. Thank you, Foxmeyer, for swinging in and giving me that advice on the audio. Doc says, happy little accident. There it is. Jack says, I just noticed the palette cam hasn't been there this whole time. This whole morning, yes. This is a community paint along, and I thought, what a better time to show a little peek behind the curtain, if you could. What we got going on here in the back. Like in the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, when they're like, let's go to Camelot, and they show the places. Like, it's silly there. You don't want to go there. Like, this is actually what's going on when I'm painting. So we're just taking, again, that coal black, that under kind of shadow color. And down here, I tend to make things on the bottom of the models less interesting. Like, I want these shoes to mostly disappear. They're a little cartoony, so he's got these nice big goofy shoes in the front. So we might play a little bit with the fronts on them, you know? That could be fun. But not much. So the rest of the shoe, we're just going to kind of paint it, like, go away. And if it's something that's, truthfully, if you paint it in an uninteresting way, it's going to drive people's eyes away from it. And it doesn't mean paint it poorly. I did not say that. I did not say don't paint it well. I just said make it uninteresting. So desaturated gray-brown isn't super interesting to look at. And that's the plan. We're going to paint it in that way. Like I said, maybe a little balls on a goofy shoe could look nice. I'm sorry about the microphone touch again. Doc says, was today years old when I realized there was a palette game. That's exactly it. The Wapizi says, is it a brush? This? This is a brush. Is what a brush? Did I say something and then forget? That could have likely happened. We're kind of settled on wanting a little more brown on the outside. We lost our shadow, so we're just going to come back through. A little more of that shadow color. This brush. I put this brush through untold tortures. I just won't quit it. More coal black to the mix. Tag Booty says brush. The figure looks like a bush bearing green. Here we're just kind of targeting the recesses on the sculpture to make it a little more desaturated. Maybe a little bit more. Let's see. We might lose it entirely here and then bring it back. But yeah, let's just get a solid amount of this coal black in here. Totally lose our tone. Bring in some more brown. Bringing it back. Alright, let's lay this down pretty quick. But what PC says I didn't see numbers on. Yeah, it's a D4. He's a rogue and he's a D4. That's how he does it. Alright. We got a nice muted brown. Disgusting thing to look at. Here where we start to reach around the front, and possibly this doesn't have enough features to really mute out the boot, so we'll make the front of these cartoony looking things somewhat cool. We just do that with a nice saturated pretty looking tone, brown that's got some red in it, and that red looks nice against the green. We know this, but because it's a brown, it doesn't make him look like a Christmas tree. It's a secret. The most awkward of dice. The most murderous of dice. He's a cow trip. He's a dang weapon. You toss him out there, you wreck somebody's whole day. Alright. Let's think about this. So these are just base tones. We obviously have to go through and highlight, start picking out details, doing actual work here. But yeah, what, like an hour of chatting and base coating. Here we're going to take a spot of black, some white, maybe a little bit of this brown because it's got some red in it. Make this muted. A little more brown. Let's take a look at this on my finger here. It's just kind of gray color. So we're going to paint his eyes in. You always want to paint the eyes in two goes. Use the brush tip into the duct on one side and pull it across. However far you feel like you have room to pull across. And then you want to flip them, come in from the other side. This is a cute exercise, but the reality is we need more colors if we're going to do all these little details. But it's at least a nice base coat, and then we can paint the eyes in. I should really have a smaller brush for this. We've got an eye. I think I'm going to have them peeking up this way. You know, what it is. Alright. And then we'll play with that later though. It's just the coal black. Here. Just using a wet brush to clean it up. Who's blowing up my phone? It's Doc. Doc's blowing up my phone. Get out of here. Take a little bit of this kind of tone that we have on the gloves. I'm going to start to base in his little chompers here. Doc says, "It's me!" Blowing up my Discord DMs. Alright, make sure we don't have that excess. Got a full grill of chompers in here. Here in some places I'm just stippling to get the paint to deposit where I want it. Hopefully get some coverage where it's maybe fighting me. Same trick as with the eyeballs. It's like whenever you're trying to get into an area like this, you just turn the model so that the point of the brush goes into the small space, or change your angle of how you're holding it, whatever needs to happen. And that way you can get into the details. I mean, it sounds super basic, and it is. Probably doesn't need to be said, but sometimes that's a world worth of difference. It took me a while to kind of get comfortable just turning the model upside down. Just give that a shot if you're having trouble getting into a detailed area. We're going to have to find out a better color for those eyes, though. That's not going to cut it. I usually mix up like a reddish tone. So for me, I'll usually use like a red purple when I'm painting an eye, whenever I'm dark lining a face in general. Oops, yeah. Are you kidding me? No. This is going to be the first color that this is dry in here. Oh no! This is the end of an era. Listen, don't die on me. What about life left? Send him out to the crossroads here, everybody. Sanguine base down. You officially ended the paint. Yep. Pay your respects. Pay your respects. I've never truly gotten to the bottom of one. It's alright, buddy. You were good. You were a good paint. Man, we painted some things. Everything I've ever painted, if you've ever gotten a commission off me, everything has had this paint from this pot. I love it. It's a beautiful color. That's why it was fresh business here. Oh my. What a thing. Let's pan out here. Pan out. Let's punch out. My buddy that's been doing the video editing is not very impressed with my vernacular when it comes to video things. Alright. Yes. Look at that. Fresh, fresh. Cracking open a cold one with the boys. Crack up that fresh paint. Agitators. Look at that. Look, it actually closes. That's how you know. Look, you get agitators aren't slowed down from years of just drying. Not that many years. It's only been a couple. Bulber, thank you so much for that follow. Welcome on in. Making that corgi wiggle. Zavatar, thank you so much for that follow. Shake the devil out of it. That's right, mix it. Mix the devil out of it. I get nervous because it did have some separation. It's been sitting there for quite a while. Dr. Propane. Got a follow train going on here. Something that I've always enjoyed when it comes to colors, especially when you're working with a company that's making their own paints. You've got colors that just work together, and in this case, the sanguine base and the coal black just work together. So you can get like this nice, like purpley tone. It doesn't have to be these two colors. There's plenty of ways to get a color like this. We're just going to paint this into these ducks. We're going to have to redo the eyes here, or those little circles I was drawing in a second anyway. Now the reason for this, I should probably punch the camera back in, is because inside of our tear ducts we had like these little red interior, I don't know, eye flesh or whatever in there, but like it's impossible to get in and paint that on its own. So you paint it first. So then let's take a look here at Sorcia's face. I know her eyes aren't perfect, but eyes are complicated. And on the plus side, they're pointing in the same direction, so like that's most of the battle. So we painted that color down first for her, and then we're gonna take the that off-white, kind of off-white white mixture. Now we're going to paint the next smaller area on the model, or the eyes. Get them around this. It's going to be a complicated piece. Well, for sure we're going to want some more paint on the brush. Or from the feeling I was getting, just any paint on the brush. Alright, let's see what we can accomplish here. Blood Angel Nash says, new name, who dis? You don't know me, Nash. How have you been? I suppose it could be centered up here on the camera instead of painting off in the corner. Why that's comfortable for me, we may never know. Eyes are complicated, and I hate them. Nash is good. It says I cannot wait to go on with my diorama. Ooh. Got any updates on it? You have a look at it. So close. Just gonna catch this divot here. Oh yeah. It's nearly taken shape. Chaos Engine says, hey mate, Nash kicking me updates here. Gonna look at those in just a second. Chaos Engine says, I thought this was cool. Sent my mate my orc bust file. He ended up printing it on his resin printer. Well, I'll have a look at that as well. Bear with me as I try to evolve this eyeball. That's one thing that helps out with these details is getting the dried paint out of the brush. Make sure to be careful that you don't have too much water or any extra moisture in the brush before you go to get your paint again, because you want to have that control. Index Regalia says, hope you have a great stream and day. You as well. Good morning. Just trying to find the shape of things here. Complicated sometimes. Nash says, I love how this D4 looks. Thank you so much, Nash. I'm doing them as a paint along, so we're trying. That's why we got the palette cam up. Index says, well, good night from me. I just got done with my stream. Well, I hope you have a good evening. Well, remainder of your evening, and you get some sleep. Dr. Propane says, it's a D4. I thought it was an Illuminati. Yeah, he's a four-sided die. It's funny. He's a four-sided die, and I don't know that I have a vibrant enough color to do the eyes on here. I think, I should say rather, I fear we're going to have to add another color. Because you want your, if you're going to paint a pupil, it needs to be a super bright color. I'm just going to keep adding some white here to this coal black, and we'll see what we get. It might be bright enough. It says maybe a tiny bit of blue. Yeah, there's some colors I like to use, and I think the answer is in general just to get the most, whatever color you want, just get the most vibrant version you have of that. Otherwise you end up like this, and it's just not saturated enough, and it doesn't read at all. Zevatar asks, what's this figure from? This is from Reaper Miniatures. They are a set of 6 dice to mimic 6 core D&D classes. So let's see, what's our most vibrant blue that we own? We've got a nice light turquoise here. This could look good. You can paint the eyes on your miniature whatever color you want. But you can see how nice and bright that is. Why not? We'll actually get a detail brush. Okay. This is a size 1. Propane, so that must be the rogue thief. Yes, yes. The D6 is a bard, and then I believe the D8. I can't recall. I think the D8 is the ranger, and then it goes. The D10 is the cleric. The D12 is the wizard, and then the D20 is a fighter. He's got a sword and board. It's less important that this color be just the most vibrant color on the planet at this scale. But when you're painting a smaller piece, like the eyes on a Games Workshop size model, or something smaller, like a human, like at the scale miniature, and it has a human face, because it's going to be so darn small that if it's not just as vibrant as it can be, it'll get lost. And even here, oops, sorry about the microphone bump. And even here, you noticed where the darker tone wasn't going to work out at all. You can imagine when you get smaller what it'll be. And we're going to do a second pass just to further saturate it and bring it up. And make a mistake while we're at it. Look at that. Blue on the brush. I brought that blue just a hair low. Ruined her line down there, so we're just going to come back with her color. That off-white color. We'll try to shape it in. You can't do this too much. You might not be able to do it correctly ever. I think we're good. We're safe. Take our black mixture here before, and the moment of truth. This is where we go off the rails every time. Basing my arms out on the desk, very close. I'll probably peek into the camera frame. Let me make sure we're as crisp as we can be on the focus. Too small to look all speeded out. Try and make this a little bit bigger. Sadly, I think we got get more paint. Dabbing off the tip there so we don't have a big old globule. At least we can avoid it as best we can. All right. Take a little globule of white here. Let's see. If we can't. Give that a little shine. All right. The hard part's done. Eyes of the devil. They're the worst. Now we can go through and actually start to detail out our model a little bit. So we can take some white. I know I accidentally got some blue up here. Try not to be like me. Make that mistake. Just mixing in a little bit more white into our off-white mixture. We're going to use, we're going to use this to clean off a little bit of the brush. We're going to try to, he seems like a shifty sort, but he does seem like the kind of guy that might brush his teeth, so we're going to try to bolden up them chompers a little bit. A rogue, to me, had a little charismatic and might be a little bit of a cool-looking guy. Encountered him on the street, you know. Hesitant to move it up to pure white, you know. Make it like a ivory tone at this point. With nothing else brighter white around it, they'll look like pretty bright teeth. If that makes sense. Making sure I didn't miss anything here. Maybe tiny bit of blue. Yeah, we won't do that. Sorry, everybody. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. It is, you know, for me, it's now 7 in the morning. I got up at 5. Sometimes Monday mornings I'm a little bit off my game, trying to get back in the swing of things. We're just bolting up these teeth a little bit. Make these couple buck teeth he has here in the front look a little more sophisticated. These Walter Goggins chomps. A little bit more white into this. Now there's a chance this is too much and we lose it, and we'll just have to detail it back. So I'm going to be stippling this color in. That way I don't completely blow up the previous base we put on because they're pretty small. Ordinarily with teeth, you don't really have this opportunity too often to like paint something to this degree. Here I'm using some brush strokes. I think it's important to like, depending on the application or the area, like do a combination of things. I know some of my friends that are, they can draw. They'll do like these cross-hatching gestures with the brush, the same as they would with like a pen or pencil. I always think that's so cool. I wish I knew more about how to do that. Would love to learn. I don't love this little wonky eye down here, but he is what he is. Now's probably a fine opportunity to grab our highlight tone, and I'm going to actually glaze it back a little bit. Glazing is a great technique for detailing and highlighting. The drawback is it takes forever. So here where I've tested white on my finger, we're just going to check the dilution, and that's fairly thin. And we're just going to bring that along here, and in a stippling gesture, add it to areas where we want this highlight. So along the brow, or the eyelid, and then up here on the top of it where it fades into the eyebrow. And we're going to also want to saturate his little lip here. So for this, I think I might get the paint down and then we'll stipple it along the edges. I may take a few passes, We're gonna do the same thing down here as we did on the other eye. In this particular process, it's gonna be mostly how much do you want to do to get something to look as smooth and as nice as it possibly can. Probably be at it a while. Just stippling along this sculpted line and this lower lip a little bit. Oh no, we're being raided by a kitten right now. Come here, little girl. You come visit? Just let it dry and then we'll come back at it and further saturate this green in. No, that's paint water, that's not for drinking. Stay. It's not for drinking. Again, the glazing, just as I said, picking out these details along the facial features, letting them dry and then coming back again. obsession with water. I don't know if anybody else has cats that get that way. They want to just have some water for some reason. This is just that little tedious part where you'll be able to find the level of detail that you're happy with in whatever you're working on. There's rules for why you highlight where you highlight. A little bit of one right down here wouldn't be a bad thing. It'll take a very long time to build up through glazing, but maybe we'll at least start it. Give the illusion that he has a chin down there. Exhausted the bulk of this now. Motor City Ray says, well, hello and happy Monday fun day. And what a lovely shirt today. Oh, thank you, Ray. Good morning. Just doing our little paint along here. I'll be uploading the VOD for everyone to follow along with. Kitten just visited me and now I have little hairs floating about, which I suppose is the way that goes. How was your weekend, Ray? I hope things went well. The finer the detail, the more necessary that stippling gesture is to keep things smooth. So where I can do brush stroke along the rim here because we've got enough room to pole, but down here where things are finite, it's mostly little stabbing gestures to get the paint to deposit. That's just the nature of it. Shatner, well, thank you so much for that follow. Ray says, weekend was okay. Just sorting out a little packing. Nothing productive or fun. Well, but, you know, it's all leading towards a good thing, right? When's the move-in date? Shatner says, hello, just joined. I like your shirt. Well, thank you. This is one of my greatest thrift shop buys. Detailing a little bit out this face. I am failing to talk while I do it because some of it is tedious, but your voice makes me warm. Well, thank you. Glad to have you in here. We're just painting in the wee hours of the morning. It's now 11 after 7. My cat just visited and she's left me little fuzzies as a remembrance. As if I forgot I already fed her, you know. Listen, little girl cat. Ray says, thinking of doing a Motor Monday episode, trying to rearrange my paint creativity. Recharge my paint creativity. We got Petrodactylus. Petrodactylus. Thank you so much for that follow. Ray says he does have a sexy mode. It doesn't need like a 2020 Bob Ross. Thank you so much, Ray. I think that's a thank you, Ray. I'd also like to smooth out the transition here where things were a little wonky from before. No problem. Shannon says, happy little D4s. Yes, these fun little caltrops. That's what they do. Alright, what do we have here? Let's take our white into our gray mixture from before. Wait, I forgot I already did that. Do his eyebrows. And since they're big and bushy, wig face, hello. Let's start with some very specific details and then just using the side of the brush to pick out the sculpt a little bit. Using the side of your brush is kind of like a hack. It's like impossible to paint the recesses don't have any part of the brush that could actually get down in there, you know. Give that a couple of coats because it'll need it. And I don't think this is the type of sculpt where you want to really dive into detailing out further than that. I think we just stick with that. It's a nice pop in there, and that's good. Darker tone, glaze it back. Let's just take a look at that dilution on our finger here. Yep, that's good. I'm just gonna get rid of the excess. Pyram Man 136 says, I learned how to read Braille. It's not hard, but you have to get a feel for it. Oh, why you do this? It's like you make me say it. Read the pun. Just kind of glazing back this area with a tone that was darker than the original tone. Try it a little bit more. We got 8-Bit Workshop rolling in. Good morning. Check our dilution, fairly thin. We're gonna get this into the recesses as well. Also gonna take this opportunity to, oops, that's no good. Be working around the model here a little bit. There's not a lot of opportunity for dark lining, but we're going to take them where we get them. Also going to take the that tone that we mixed up for the eyes. Glaze it back a bit. Let's try. That's pretty dark. Start to pick out some of the details on the satchel here. Just using my finger to clean up any of the pooling that might have occurred here at the edges. Realizing that we need to probably detail out the numbers here. Let's actually grab a bit of a brighter tone for the higher ones. Show some tonal variation. So here I'm actually, instead of using that black mixture, I'm actually using the color that is the shade color down here in the dye. And in this way, perhaps it'll look like it's carved out of the same piece. Like down here, we had to go darker than we've gone anywhere on the piece yet. But here, we do this. Shatner asks, do you have a favorite dinosaur? I do. The Brachiosaurus. Ray says hello to Wigface. Wigface, good to see you, by the way. Might add a little bit of dilution to this just to get it to flow into the recesses here. Side. In general, this side is in better light, so our 3 got highlighted like the 1 did on the other side. We might just add a little bit of this darker tone to this edge of it. It look like we got a little tonal shift. Take our clean brush here, mop that up. Steven over 60 says, I was watching The Mummy. Oh yeah? The original? The Dice. Just 7:20. All right, we're gonna have to wrap up here soon, so let me just get these base coats on here. We'll be able to wrap this up here very shortly. Steven says, check out my blending job. Ooh, give us just a moment. Take a look at that. Oh, I'm remembering now, I got stuff from earlier I'm supposed to be looking at too. I am the worst. All right. This is just a neutral gray we mixed out of white and black. All right, Steve, give me 2 seconds. It's not probably garbage. Being rude. Steven's dog on his paint job. get this down and then we'll do it. This is what I've been saying to everybody all day. Oh, let me just do this one thing, and then 2 hours later, I still haven't taken a look. It has been 2 hours. Let's look what we have here. So we need to look at Steven's work, and then earlier we had Nash's work. Chaos Engine had something as well. Okay. Oh wow, Chaos, that print is nice. It's a muscly orc. Got the striations and the abs. That's legit. Nash is working on some tanks. I see what you're doing with the diorama now. You got what is that, tiered up mud you got him sunk into? That's gonna be a mess to get out of. I'm sure you're gonna get all the weathering where you want it to. It's gonna be nice. So Steven, you're painting the underbelly, plenty of scales into the lower body. Yeah. No, that's good. That's a tough thing to do. To do the variation in tone like that. The thing that helps sometimes is I love the dice stripping mine. Yeah, I figured we'd work our way through them all and paint colors that made sense for each class. So we're doing the rogue in green. We'll do the bard next, and he'll be in orange, I believe. Or purple. The bard's in purple. I wrote this down. Yeah, the bard will be purple, and then the ranger in orange. And then we'll do so that'll be all the secondary colors, and then we'll do the primaries. I don't know what color his sleeves should be. What do you think? Let me get a little more of this coal black out. I think that might be the move here. To it. Paint the undersides of his sleeves. Let me get us in focus here. And then we'll grab our highlight tone. Actually, what we'll do is put our finger right in this blue paint. How nice is that? This side, the highlight's going to come down quite a bit further because it's the brighter side of the model. Grab our darker tone. Just kind of blend out the bottom of it. Do this same dark tone along the base of the pants down here, going into the boots. Maybe we'll get just a touch of that highlight color here on the outside. We'll let it blend in with the shadow. Leave it like that. Put a touch of this highlight color right here. It might read, it might not. Lose sleep over it. All you can do is put it where it's supposed to go, and if it doesn't read, don't worry about detailing it. Those small areas, they are what they are. Steven says this is perfect for me because I have one of the models that I can follow along with. Oh yeah, it was my hope with these, why I picked these, is because one, they're readily available, they don't cost much, and they're cool. Like, they're really, really cool. I'm an old school D&D nerd. My old school might not be as old as some, but you know, I've played D&D from a pretty young age, and I haven't played in many years, but it was always a fun thing to get into, and in this way it's fun to kind of live out. I'll give an updated paint list to the Discord here later on in the day, because the colors I intended to use didn't show up, and then we've added two. Am I back? Am I back? What happened? Hopefully we're back. I was just saying the music ended, and it seemed like a fine spot to move on. But I guess when the music ended, something happened with the driver, perhaps? It's a weird interaction. But yeah, it's the end of the stream. I was just saying I'm always available on Discord and Instagram if people have questions about how we got to here. And maybe we'll spend another stream detailing them out. But perhaps this is enough. Try some Nightwish. All right, let's find a target to raid into. Who is online today that we can go see? Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll go see Brush for Hire. And if there's more people on. But, alright, we'll get that raid started. Weekface says, hey, Ray. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Help me get the model to this point. We'll continue on it a little bit. I think he's starting to read pretty well. But if we punch back the shadows and up the highlights, things will start jumping off pretty well. We took the time to do that around his face, the eyes and the lip. Now if we pack the shadows in a little more, it'll jump off even better. So that's for Thursday. All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's get off to
brush for hire, and you all have a wonderful start to your week.